It is bowling season, and that calls for a bonus episode from the Brew and Shaver Sports Podcast as we look at the SEC teams that are in bowl games that are not part of the 12-team playoff. So let's jump right into it. Our first one, the Gasparilla Bowl. The Tulane Green Wave are facing off against the Florida Gators. Darren, who wins?
Well, I have concerns about picking against Florida because if you remember earlier this season, very early in the season, I made the prediction that I knew for sure there were three teams that would not be playing in postseason bowls, and Florida was one of those teams. So I'm a little nervous to pick against Florida. That being said, there's some strength to this Tulane team. You cannot deny what they bring to the table, how they perform on the field, what their team looks like in all three phases of the game. We have been impressed with them. We've talked about them a couple of times throughout the process of the year, just seeing what they're doing or playing against SEC teams. So I'm going to stick with my inclination to pick an SEC team, Florida, to pull this out. But pulling it out will not be easy. I think this will be an enjoyable game to watch. Florida with the win, but a close, fun game to watch. How about you, Ben?
I'm going with Billy Dunn.
You are not going with Billy Donovan.
Wow.
He could be there, though. Who knows, right? I mean,
two national championships for the Florida men's basketball team.
That's right.
I'm going to go with Billy Napier and the Florida Gators as well, Darren.
Very cool.
Let's move on to the Armed Forces Bowl featuring the Oklahoma Sooners and the Navy midshipmen coming off of last Saturday's win against Army. A very impressive
nice
win.
Yep.
OU in somewhat of a state of flux. Jackson
Yeah.
Arnold is no longer there. They've lost some guys to the transfer portal. Darren, who wins this one?
My concern is the state of uncertainty that the Oklahoma program is in because, like you said, they lost Jackson Arnold. I know they've got the other quarterback. I'm blank on his name right now, but
Hawkins.
They got some playing time this year, so it's not like they're just throwing in somebody cold. But the other thing that I've seen in the transfer portal is the one thing. Well, if there are two things that Oklahoma would just cannot lose, it's linemen and wide receivers, and they've lost some wide receivers to the portal. Like, okay, seriously, do you even have a wide receiver left between the injury and the transfer portal? And that concerns me. And I don't like this pick. Oklahoma fans, we love you. We appreciate how much time you spend watching what we do and interacting with us. But Navy has the ability to shut down a game and control the absolute tempo and can grind out a low scoring game where if you have a 3 and out, it can be a 12-minute time of possession mistake. And I think that does not play well for Oklahoma. I unfortunately think Navy wins this game. Go Sooners, Boomer Sooner, hope you win. But I think Navy is going to win this game. How about you, Ben?
The Sooners are going to have to get creative on offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wide receiver has been an issue for them all year. They've played almost the whole year with significant pieces in their wide receiver room, injured, unable to play. The defense is going to show up. Danny Stutzman, the defense, they're going to be ready to play. I think you're right. This is going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a ball control game. What can Hawkins do? Can he air it out? And who is he going to throw it to? Someone's going to have to step up. They're going to have to throw a wrinkle in here. This game, I think, is more important to the future of the Sooner football program than it is to Navy. Brent Venable's seat is starting to get warm. They've been hit really hard already in the transfer portal. He needs to win this game to build some momentum going into the off season. So I'm going to go just because it's. I think it's a necessity that OU win
That
this
makes
game.
sense. Absolutely.
I'm going to go with the Sooners pulling off a hard fought victory. Let's move on to. Oh, looky here. There's Vanderbilt. It's the Birmingham Bowl. The Georgia
Yes.
Tech Ramblin' Wreck against the Vanderbilt Commodores in the Birmingham Bowl. Darren, do I need to even ask who you like in this one?
I'm going to go with Vanderbilt, even though Georgia Tech scares me to death. Even if you watch the press conference where they introduced the two teams, the two coaches specifically, and introduced the two teams, the level of intensity that, and I'm blank on his name right now, but the Georgia Tech coach, the level of intensity that dude just brought to the press conference, it was like, oh, all right, I see how he gets what he gets out of his team. I'm in. I'll go play. All right. So Georgia Tech absolutely scares me. I think they've shown that even in the most difficult of circumstances, they can pull out a win or at least make the other team pay dearly. Hello, eight overtimes, even if they lose to them. But I have to. The last time Vanderbilt was in Birmingham, it was a very, very nice win in the Birmingham Bowl. At that time, it was the Tax Slayer Bowl or something like that at Legion Field. But Vanderbilt brought home the win. I'm believing they can do the same this time, and it is a Vanderbilt win. How about you, Ben?
I'm sorry, Darren. After watching Georgia Tech and Georgia play,
I know.
wow, Georgia Tech's tough, and
Yep.
so I want Vanderbilt to win for you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate
But
that.
I think Georgia Tech's going to win.
Now, interesting little side note about this game. Georgia Tech used to be in the SEC, was one of the original members of the SEC, and this was actually a rivalry game at one time. They had like the golden egg or the brass bell or the something like that, that whoever won took it home. And actually, it is still in Georgia Tech's possession in their football trophy case. I think the last time was like 1963 or something like that. But just interesting little side note. It's neat that they still have that little piece of history there in their trophy case in their athletic program or athletic building. So
I didn't know that, but you go back a lot further than I do. Moving on to another bowl game while we're still friends. The Liberty Bowl.
exactly.
The Arkansas Razorbacks and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Darren, who wins?
I have concerns about this game as well, but you look for clear advantages when you're not real sure about the other team. To me, at least me, part of what I look at is where is just a clear, decided advantage. And I think when you've got Bobby Petrino and his ability to scheme and put things together on the sideline in this kind of a setting where the team has nothing but film on you that they're studying in this short window, I think that's an advantage to a Bobby Petrino and his way of doing things. So I think this is an Arkansas win. How about you, Ben?
I like the Hogs. Moving on to the Las Vegas Bowl. The University of Southern California Trojans are going up against the Texas A&M Aggies, coming off of Mike Elko's first successful season,
Mm-hmm.
first season and a successful season
Yeah.
for his debut with the Aggies. Who wins this one?
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about this game first? Is this a weird statement to say that somewhere deep inside LSU fans are pulling for Texas A&M in this game? Is that an accurate statement? I mean, it would be reasonable if they are. I'm just saying.
It's amazing to me the depths to which Lincoln Riley's reputation has plummeted. He has
Yeah,
become one of the most disliked coaches in college football.
absolutely. Agree completely. And I think this game will not do anything to boost his coaching resume in any way, much less, regardless of personality. I think this is an Aggie win. I think they can do defensively the things they need to stump a Lincoln Riley offense. And I think it's going to be a long night for the mighty USC Trojans, and Aggies bring home the win. How about you, Ben?
USC lost their quarterback to Louisville, I believe.
Yep,
Uh,
yep,
these are two programs going in opposite directions.
absolutely.
Elko wants to keep the momentum going, the
hmm
excitement. Aggie fans are going to turn out big time
hmm
in Vegas.
Yeah.
USC, a lot of questions up in the air. I think the Aggies end up pulling this one out. Let's move over to the Music City Bowl. A lot of similar colors there:
Yeah, it
gold,
really is.
yellow, black.
Yeah.
Uh, the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Missouri Tigers. Ugh.
Yeah. This is a tough one. I think Missouri will win because they can score. I think they, I mean, it might, this game may end up looking like a baseball score 6-3, maybe throw in a safety 5-3. I think that's a legitimate possibility. But at the same time, I feel like what Missouri is able to do on offense will, even if it's not a low scoring game, even if it ends up being, a 17-12 or something like that, I think Missouri comes out on top because I think they have the decided advantage in the ability to scheme and create things that a defense has never seen with this kind of time frame. That's their advantage as opposed to Iowa, and I think that's what shows up in this game. I think Missouri wins it. How about you?
Iowa has won some big bowl games in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They have a way of lulling their opponents to sleep. Kirk Ferentz, ball control, ball control, ball control,
Yep.
field position, field position, field position. And if Missouri gets hypnotized by that pace of game,
Yep.
they're gonna find themselves in a hole before they realize it and think, what is going on here? I
Yep.
think Missouri needs to come out quick. They need to score. They need to put this game away early.
A great
I,
point.
I think, and hopefully Eli Drinkwitz isn't yelling at the Iowa players.
Yeah.
I think Missouri wins. Let's move over to the ReliaQuest Bowl. The Alabama Crimson Tide are facing the Michigan Wolverines, two storied programs that met last year for the national championship, with Michigan prevailing in that game. Michigan, though, in somewhat of a rebuild, if we could call it that.
Yep.
Alabama not up to the standards they enjoyed for so long under Coach Saban. Darren, who wins this one?
I think strictly because even in a down year, the level of talent an Alabama team brings to the table. And I know Big Ten fans, if there are any watching, Michigan fans especially, are not going to like that analysis, but I think it's an accurate analysis. I think Alabama will bring a larger talent pool to the table, and that will be the difference. I think this is an Alabama win over Michigan. They'll get their revenge for last year. How's that? How about you, man?
Yeah, I think Alabama wins big. Let's move over to one of my favorite snacks,
Oh,
the Cheez-It Citrus
that's
Bowl. Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. The South Carolina Gamecocks are facing the Fighting Illini from the University of Illinois. Darren?
South Carolina is still one of the hottest teams in the nation, and there's just nothing Illinois can do about it. I think this game is that simple.
Yeah. South Carolina wins. If they don't win, we're going to rescind our invitation for Coach Beamer to appear on the show next
That's
year.
right.
Just we're not going to be able to deal with that.
The
So come
Shane
on,
Beamer kickoff show will be shelved. We just can't do it. So
take take care of your business, South Carolina.
exactly.
Over
Ooh,
to the Texas Bowl in Houston. The Baylor Bears are facing the LSU Tigers. LSU facing its defensive coordinator from the 2019 National Championship game, Dave Aranda. A game that it's a pretty interesting
yeah,
matchup.
it
You
really
would
is.
you would think that it wouldn't be that, but when you look at the overall records and look at the on paper, Darren,
hmm
who do you like in this one?
again, I think you have to go with where you think the largest talent pool is. I think the one thing you have to acknowledge, even if you're an LSU fan, is I think when it comes to schemes defensively, Dave Aranda is going to present the I hold the A in this one. This one this one falls to me. I win this category. But even with that being the case, I think this will be a fun game to watch. Not necessarily high scoring, but a fun game to watch. And I think LSU pulls it out. I think Baylor, for people outside, I think LSU fans are expecting something from Baylor just strictly because of Dave Aranda. But I think people maybe outside of these conferences just tune into this game. I think they'll truthfully get a better game than they're anticipating. And this has the potential to be one of the games that people are talking about when bowl dust kind of settles. But I think they'll be talking about an LSU win. I think the mighty Tigers pull this one out. How about you, Ben?
I've got 2 words. Go Tigers.
Well said. Well said.
Well, that takes us over to the Gator Bowl. The Duke Blue Devils are facing the Ole Miss Rebels, narrowly missing out on a playoff berth, much to the consternation of head coach Lane Kiffin and
He
the
may have
fans
talked
in
about it.
Oxford. He talked about it a little bit. Now he's got Duke in the Gator Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Darren, who wins this one?
I think Ole Miss does. I think Duke has the opportunity to sneak up on them because when your coach has talked as much about this as Lane Kiffin has, I think that can get into your heads as a team, get into your head as a team, and you're thinking, well, what are we playing for? We didn't get to where we should be. We were robbed. We were whatever. All that stuff can kind of start to sneak in and settle in a little bit. But I think even with that being the case, I think Ole Miss has the advantage. And even if they have to kind of really root in and settle in and take control back of the game at some point. If Duke gets out on them early for what just because they're not maybe into the game, I still think Ole Miss has that capability and will do it. So I think it's an Ole Miss win. How about you, Ben?
Kudos to you, Darren, for trying to make this game sound interesting. It's going to be Ole Miss. Oh,
I was
come on,
trying
man.
hard, man.
Ole Miss is going to win this game. But I appreciate your valiant effort there.
I tried. I genuinely tried.
That does it for our picks for SEC bowl games. Hopefully, you get a chance to watch all the
Yep,
bowl games. Let us know how your picks line up with our picks and what we got right, what we got wrong. We'd love to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button, like, comment, send us messages. Most importantly, let's enjoy watching these final few weeks of college football together. We
absolutely.
appreciate you being a part of the show, and we'll see you next time.